Okay, welcome to the Teacher Educator Conference 2015 in Hyderabad. I'm joined by my colleague Amy Lightfoot, and I'm very pleased to introduce Amol Padwad, who's taken time out of his very busy schedule to come and talk to us. Amol, welcome, and thank you for coming us. Thank you for your talk as well. It was very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people will have got a lot of enjoyment and ideas from it. We'd just like to take a little bit of your time and ask you a few questions, if that's okay. Thank you. Your talk focused largely on motivation of teachers to develop professionally, and looks at some of the recent developments. Could you talk a little bit about those developments and how they've helped kind of understanding and promotion of teachers' motivation?
In my talk, I tried to raise a simple question. We have studied quite extensively why teachers are attracted to the teaching profession, but there is not enough study what may push them or motivate them to continue to develop while they are in the teaching profession. And in my talk, I tried to explore that question. I wish to argue that there are certain separate triggers and factors which are specifically related to teachers' motivation for development, and we need to look at those factors separately from the factors which motivate teachers to come to the profession or to stay in the profession. In this connection, I used Daniel Pink's model of motivation 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0, which essentially argues that for professional development, anybody is motivated if that person gets a sense of autonomy, mastery and purpose. So my argument was, in case of teaching, teachers would be motivated to develop if they find these three things in their career.
And Sugata Mitra has talked quite a lot about the effect of context on teachers' motivation. What's your experience been with context and teachers who are highly motivated or less motivated?
I believe that these three things, autonomy, mastery and purpose, which Daniel Pink speaks about, are directly related to the context. To give a very broad generalization, in India, if we compare the state sector with the private sector, we find that there is less of autonomy, less of mastery and less of purpose in the state sector because it is highly centralized and quite rigidly controlled context. On the other hand, in private sector, there is more scope for experimentation and innovation, and so teachers have a greater sense of autonomy, mastery and purpose. We see a significant difference in teachers' motivation in these two sectors. So what Sugata Mitra says has a direct bearing on this. This is where the contextual factors determine how teachers feel motivated or not.
In my experience, and I think in a lot of people's experience, motivation, or in terms of professional development, is largely down to teachers having responsibility for their own kind of professional development. In your experience and from the research that you've done, how can we ensure that teachers are able to do that, are able to take responsibility for their own professional development?
We had a series of CPD think tank promoted by British Council in India, and we came up with some very valuable insights about CPD in India. And one insight was, any CPD will be effective only if there is a combination of teachers' volunteerism initiative and the top-down support from the system. So if there is support from the system but no volunteerism or involvement of teachers, it's not going to be effective. On the other hand, if teachers are interested and they take initiative but they are not supported by the system, again that's not going to be effective. So I strongly believe, and this is what I have personally experienced in the English teachers clubs that we run, we have been running for 14 years now, that on the one hand we need teachers to take responsibility of their own development, and it also includes a tricky question of making teachers understand that it's their responsibility, because the system gives the wrong impression to the teachers that it is not their responsibility or they don't have any agency. It's the state which provides for their development. So we have to create that sense and also build their capacity to take that initiative, and then also see that there is matching support from above to those teachers' initiatives.
Okay. That sounds fascinating. Brilliant. Okay, well, Amol, thank you very much for taking the time